Hello and many thanks for joining us on this edition of the program. I am Imonia Marere. We do apologize for the earlier technical glitch. Now for football lovers, the football season has just ended in all major leagues around the world. But in Nigeria and its politics, it is morning yet. It is a season of political club transfers in Nigeria. The political transfer market is booming. The window opened with a flurry some weeks back when a former Kaduna State governor moved from the camp of the reigning champions to pitch tent with the SDP, ostensibly because he has been sidelined since the 2023 political Premier League ended. Now, since the transfer window opened, top political strikers have been negotiating transfer conditions, while party managements have been eager to sign on new players for the 2027 political Premier League. It is really not a strange phenomenon. It happens every league season. In 2015, the coalition that eventually emerged as the APC was a major beneficiary. In 2023, the then fringe Labour Party harvested many new players who were sidelined by the big clubs. Players who wanted to show that they were not finished politically, that they still had fire in their political legs and could score goals. 2025, 2 years to the next political Premier League season, transfers are heating up. But it appears the reigning champion, which won the 2023 political Premier League, is the main attraction for most of the players. Even top strikers in the other top clubs are falling over themselves to sign on and pick shirts in the locker room of the defending champion. Now, expectedly, the champion has opened his doors wide to receive the defecting players to boost his chances of retaining the coveted prize in 2027. Some clubs and other managements are crying foul. They accuse the reigning champion of deploying underhand means and tactics to lure their star players away and turn 2027 into a no contest. They fear that their clubs will be so weakened that they may not be able to face the new season with grit. They fear that the defending champion is surreptitiously trying to turn the league into a one-horse race. But the reigning champion is insisting that it is a free market where all clubs and players and even coaches are free to choose where and how they ply their trade. And there are no hard and fast rules as to how and why players can move across and around the field, nor are there any rules forbidding clubs from accepting new players if the price and the conditions are right. After all, some of the club managers now crying wolf were active participants in the political transfer market in the past. In fact, some of them have jumped clubs up to 2 or 3 times or even more since the return of the political Premier League in 1999. Some are notable professional political migrants. The question is this an indication that the political field is being constricted? Is it a movement to a one-club league? Is that even possible in a country as diverse and pluralistic as Nigeria? There are also moves by some of the injured and benched players from the 2023 season to acquire an old club and put together a formidable squad, a coalition strong enough to rival the current champion for the 2027 contest. This is because some of the old clubs have reputational and management challenges. Some are crippled by multiple claims to their management and coaching crews, such that not even judicial interventions have been able to resolve. Now, on the part of the reigning champion, stakeholders have already come together to endorse its top striker and captain to lead them into the 2027 season. Now, but perhaps the most disturbing in all of this is the fact that there are no new kids on the block. No new talents have been discovered. No new faces, no new voices No new ideas are emerging, just the same old political war horses with their stale, outdated tactics and game plans, parading the field and shopping for a different result. Now, this is the crux of the matter on our program today. And I'm joined in the studio by Professor Kamara Bello. He's a professor of politics and administration at the Open University of Nigeria. He's in fact the dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences in the Open University of Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm grateful.
Welcome. We're also joined by Vitus Okonkwo. Mr. Vitus Okonkwo is a pro-democracy advocate. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining us virtually is Professor Biodun Adeniyi, a professor of communication at the Base University here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Professor Adeniyi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Great. So let's start with you. Let's start from you.
Okay.
How do you interpret the current political movements across board in Nigeria ahead of the 2027 elections?
All right. Thanks, Imoni. I'm not surprised. It's not shocking at all. It's something that is expected. We had a major presidential election. We had a presidential election in 2023. Given our political history, after every election, the first year people are expectant, people are looking forward to appointments, people are calculating, they're very patient. In the second year, those who are disappointed, those whose expectations have been dashed or lowered, they begin to have rethink, they begin to plot their graphs. And of course, in the build-up, at the closing of the second year, nerves are completely frayed and they begin to think of alignment, realignment, and in preparatory to the next election, as the case could be. So that's the nature of our politics, where ideology is minimal. It's not ideologically driven. Political parties are essentially special purpose vehicles towards the acquisition of power. And what they do with power at the end of the day is usually suspect at the level of service delivery, at the level of performance. So it seems that with every due respect to the opposition or to those coalescing, it's usually something that we are used to. At the end of the day, you still have some of them very credible people, people who are genuinely concerned about things not properly done, and who are eager to bring genuine changes. If they are opportune to have the levers of power at their disposal. So it's usually the regular sing-song, really, and of course it creates some kind of excitement in the system. It's also a reminder of an alternative, reminding us of the limitations of the incumbent. Yes, they have also on their part probably imagine that they've got good intentions, trying their best, but it's also for us to see that their best has not actually been good enough for us. The sing song will continue, but what is actually worrisome for me is that the sing song it's deafening, at an unusually early stage. We are yet to get to even midterm, especially on the part of the incumbent, and we are seeing gales of endorsement. It tells me that governance is not really privileged. It's not completely prioritized, as the case could be. We know that in some other democracies, sometimes the build up to presidential election can be early enough. But we know again that those democracies are institutionally stronger than us. Ours is a fragile one. And the commitment to building institutions here is still very suspect. So against that background, you expect that we will not be this frenetic about an election, and that is going to happen a little about 2 years from now. But that's what is upon us now, and it just tells us again that there's something that we should be asking questions about regarding the commitment to our democracy a commitment that shouldn't just be about, highlighting freedom of association, freedom of speech, and freedom of expression, but again about service delivery, because service delivery, it's integral to the purpose, the vision and mission of every democratic setup, or in fact, and indeed, every governance setup in the first instance. But if that is downplayed, as we seem to be seeing, or as we can rightly allege, given the primacy of rhetorics around 2027 contestation, then it is something that we need to be worried about, and we need to have a rethink around, so that we can strengthen our democracy and not just be celebratory about its longevity, but again about the character of our democracy, as the case could be, Imoni.
Thank you, Prof. Let me bring in Mr. Okonkwo into this now before I go to another professor, Mr. Okonkwo. Like Professor Deni said, it appears that this is happening too early in the day, before the current administration has marked a midterm. It's 2 years, halfway in his journey, his first journey. We are beginning to see endorsements and coalition movements taking place.
Yes, going through the political history of our nation, we found out that coalition and endorsement is as old as our democracy. When you look at from 1959, when the MPC and NCNC could not form a majority at the parliament, immediately you witness a coalition government. Though it did not last long, as a result of ideological differences, we now witness the multiplication of other political parties. So I say that to mean that coalition and endorsement is a product of politics and democracy. And as Nigeria today, you find out that the current government is a product of coalition. And that is the only time we have a fruitful coalition. Because after the 1960, all we have witnessed have had issues. Even when the current president was in the AD and in coalition with the former President Muhammad Buhari, it could not stand because of the issues that has to do with the formation of that coalition. Until this time that we had APC and the SCSC and all NPP and all that gave fruit to this party that had the force to restore power out of the hands of the PDP with dominance over the years. So coalition and endorsement is a product of politics. It is something that you say, like they say that the only bridge between mission and vision is strategy. And politics is like a fight at the battlefield in the wrestling point. There is no referee to say where to punch to get your victory. What is important is you box your opponent down to the wall and be declared the winner. So there's no time you will say, oh, that is too early as to have a coalition, because coalition and endorsement has its positive and negative values. When you look at it from the positive perspective, when you have coalition of like minds, leaders of thought and all that, who join the ruling party with the angle of having a clear ideology that define the governance that can better and improve the life of the people, that is the positive part of coalition. When you now see a coalition which is individualistic driven, selfish, and based on interests of the bourgeois, which now pitch on what they stand to benefit and appointment they start to benefit and position they start to benefit come 2027. That is against what the coalition essence stands to achieve. That is where my prof, so respected and well respected, is taking that it's too early. Governance will be better when those stakeholders come together in coalition with the aim of building the policies and programs of government stronger to get more political results to ordinary Nigerians. We say it is not early. It is not time. There's no referee to say when they fight, because politics generally is a business of interest. And you see, the ruling party, APC, have interest to maintain and retain power. They have their programs and activities they are doing to entice the people and for them to continue to support the party APC. The opposition have seen what is going on. They have to come very objectively, strongly, to see how they will come together as a force. Driving idea from what happened in the last election of how APC came to power and the rest of power from the PDP. We witnessed the same thing in the last election when we had the third force and the emergence of the Labour and all that. They tried to form the third force, gather strength together, all relevant stakeholders, groups groups were endorsing Labour and endorsing APC. Afenifere was endorsing Labour. Some part of Afenifere was endorsing APC. This is as old as our democracy. So the essence of what we have to derive here is the intentions of those who form coalition. Primarily and elementarily in the field of politics today, we have seen a gathering where the likes of Peter Obi, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Vice President, the likes of Kwame Kwaso have appeared in the television during the emergency declared in Rivers State, where they are now trying to have a united opinion over an issue, which have gave pictures of an assumption that, oh, this could be a gathering of coalition. But should that be true? The issue here will be, how could they positively drive a force that can restore power from this current government of APC, which is a product of coalition that was fruitfully the first time in Nigeria, restore power out of PDP. So
that's the question I'm going to throw to Professor Bello now. Flowing from what he has said, and I want to put so many things, or a few things together here. Coalitions and endorsements. Because they appear to be twin brothers coming from different directions. And flowing from the successful coalition that brought this government to power in 2013, 2014, and 2015, how well would you say political coalitions and endorsements by different groups, some of them cultural, religious, what have you, and how well have they shaped Nigeria's political trajectory over the years?
Thank you very much. As an intellectual and a student of politics, I will start with a clarification of the concept. Politics, coalition, endorsement. Politics is an authoritative allocation of values, not allocation of corruption. We should get it right. Who gets what, how, and when, in terms of value. But what most of us call politics in Nigeria today is sharing of just position, not the value that will benefit the society. Coalition. When you are talking of coalition, it's a temporary arrangement. It's different from merger. What APC did in 2013, 14, 15 was a merger of ACN, CNC, ANPP, and merged into APC. What people are doing now is coalition that I cannot leave my identity as PDP, as LP, but we want to come and rescue power, maybe under one umbrella. We have tried that before in the history of Nigeria, even in the First Republic, as the chief said, with UPGA, with NNA. At the end of the day, the thing failed. They could not defeat the incumbent. In the Second Republic, they tried the same thing. They call it PPA, Progressive People's Alliance, where PRP, UPN, NNPP, MPP came together. They couldn't rescue power from MPN at that time in 1983. The same thing when ACN came with CNC in 2011 because of coalition. They couldn't rescue power from PDP in 2011. The same thing now is happening now because all of them are seeing that they are not living their identity. We just want to coalesce and take power, which may be a bit difficult. They move from SDP. Now they are talking of ADC. We don't know what will be the next. Because some of them are still saying, I will not leave my PDP. Some will say, I'm not leaving my LP behind so that we can match and have a force. Having said that, even the ideology, to convince the masses to follow, it will be difficult to convince anybody that there's difference between PDP, APC, LP, NNPP, because in terms of ideology, there's no any clear-cut difference. Most of those in those parties now, they were either former ACN, who come to SDP, former PDP, who came to LP. So for you to mobilize the masses and say this is a clear-cut ideology, so that I can take the people out of the pain we are feeling now. And the pain is poverty. So we need a clear-cut ideology, which is not there. And then lastly, we should take note again that either written or not written, we have agreed on this issue of rotational presidency. Not to do 8 years, South to do 8 years. So for you to convince the masses that something, that is why people like Atiku are now introducing that I will do 1 term and hand over. For another South, who will do another 1 term. Because that thing is not written, but it's in the blood of many. That this is the turn of those people, this is my turn now, this is my turn. And that alone, because in politics, in political science, some people believe in their section, their religion, their region, than success, than being out of poverty. People are laying their life down because of religion, because of section, because of region, because of tribe, because of ethnicity. So that has been there, we should consider it in our politics. That's what affected the MPN in 1983. People cannot rescue power from them after forming coalition. But APC was lucky because it was a merger. They changed and said we are different from what is happening. When they tried it in 2011 with AC, it didn't work. It couldn't work because it was ordinary coalition. Then to talk on this endorsement, endorsements are always by the elites, not the real voters. It's historical. Somebody will come out, we saw Abacha time. Endorsement came. 1 million or 2 million or 3 million.
Matches and all of that.
And all of that. It's an endorsement. That Abacha will is in khaki. They say you are the one to continue as a civilian. Endorsement is an elitist ideas. And most of the time, thank God now that we have, what is it called, EFCC. During Abacha, there was no EFCC to harass anybody. But EFCC now, it's only a few people in Nigeria that will be in government, that the hands will not be soiled. They will have account with the EFCC. By the time they open it to each and every one of them, they will pipe low. So their struggle to even change the status quo, we died. And everybody will come and say, oh, you are the one that is in government, you can continue forever, even not for the next 4 years. Because everybody has 1 or 2 things to account for.
Right.
So endorsement to me is an elitist idea.
And talking of elitism, it does appear that the coalition talks that are ongoing are actually being done on individual basis. They appear not to be carrying along their political parties.
You are right, sir.
Is that likely to be an inhibition at the end of the day?
That is it.
Because some persons within, in fact, leaders of some of the parties are saying, look, we are not part of these talks.
Yes, it will. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that all this coalition, and then we come now to endorsement. Endorsement is by section of the elite. They are not carrying the party, as you have said, along. If you are not carrying the party along, how do you succeed? It's just a kind of entertainment, a kind of skit that want to do this, want to do that. How are you going to succeed in doing it when the party members are also telling you that you are not part of this move?
Okay, Professor Adeni, let me put this question to you. It does appear that the current endorsements and even coalition talks that are going on are not driven by ideological alignments. It appears that they are more transactional and what some would describe as survivor politics.
We have very strong individuals with very strong ambition, who are very reluctant, to let go, so that the interest of the larger group, of the larger community, can hold sway. And these individuals are very clear to us. Some of them we know them, very committed. We also know some of them who have been determined, from time immemorial, to get to the pinnacle of power in this country. And it's going to be very difficult, rightly or wrongly, for any of these individuals to sacrifice their ambition for the other. And again, that's why we often talk about the absence of clarity on who the leader of the coalition is likely to be, because the leader is also going to emerge as maybe the presidential candidate in the near future. But who will this be? We have the case of, if we want to be specific, we have the case of Peter Obi, for instance, who has a very strong followership in the mode in which you put Buhari those days. Very strong, almost Catholic followership. And the evidence is clear. The reasons are obvious because it portrays something, values that contrast with the preponderance of issues that we've been talking about, issues that have been preponderance over the years. And of course, we also know that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has been in the fray. He's been angling to be president for many years, 6 times now, if I'm not wrong. And of course, former governor of Kaduna State. So it's another very strong personality. So we have these slew of personalities who are dedicated politicians. They can hold their own, and you begin to wonder who will step down for the other, or who will rather be the leader so that the other one can go on as candidate of the party. But we can only hope that they resolve this, just like the pre-2015 coalition where it was able to resolve it almost seamlessly. But will that happen? Considering the differentials in our ethnicities, considering the fact that the followership are also waiting in the wings, ready, to hit at their idol if there's any major misstep. So all these considerations will continue to play out. But again, it comes back to the bigger issue that we've been talking about over the years, politics being one that is bereft of values, bereft of vision, bereft of cardinal objectives, even though tepid claims are made to these things. We need a political atmosphere that is steeped in ideology for progress, that is qualitative, not just one where material inclination are very, very obvious. We need a politics, a political space and politicians that are committed to the greater good of all. Not those, that will see politics and the quest for political power as a pedestal for the acquisition of resources, or um, as a pedestal to become, or to break through in life. It's actually a bane, and it's also explain why politicians are very, very vociferous in the clamor for political power, where processes and procedures, transparency and accountability, credibility and integrity are sacrificed only for the ultimate objective, which is capturing power. But I want to be optimistic, imagining that we are still growing, we are still maturing in the process, and we can get to that destination that we want to get to at the appropriate time. But the regret is that we are probably too slow in progressing to the appropriate destination. If you also consider the world around us, where we see all the politics, the way it is being played in other climes, and people are not that vociferous. They rather see um, getting into political power as a distraction. They rather be in the private sector, maybe making their progress rather than being distracted by governance. But again, the other angle we can also look at is the example of Donald Trump, for instance, who probably does not subscribe to some of the values that we talk about. That might just only be an exception, and we cannot equate that to be the rule. We see, and again, that's probably the reason why the US is not, yes, it's a bastion of democracy, but it's not the best example of democracy in the world. The best examples of democracy in the world can be found in the Nordic Scandinavian countries, where there's seamlessness of secession, and of course, we can see palpable progress. Now, if we, as a teaching democratic space, we want to learn fast, we have some good examples to draw from. And there's no reason why we shouldn't learn, considering the need for growth and development in our space, and considering the many ills, the many crises and malaise that we are facing, not just one of poverty and disease and lack, But for the immediate crisis around us, the crisis of insecurity, and of course, the crisis of declining revenue, as the case could be, Imoni.
Thank you, Professor. Mr. Konkwo, talking about destinations, getting to desired destinations. There are those who argue that we can hardly distinguish at the moment between genuine political alliances and opportunism by these persons who are currently in the playing field.
Oh, thank you. Like I said earlier, coalition is a product of opposition parties coming together with the aim of garnering forces and coming together to wrestle power out of the leading party, the ruling party. Doing that, they have their own challenges. The current party in power also reserve the right to equally have some people who support them in terms of leaving their political party and let support into the ruling party. So having their own interests and intentions too. So but analyzing what is going on today, you find out that coalition will thrive if the intentions are people's driven. The intentions of the coalition was, one, to get power, two, to change, make a change that will benefit the entire people. But what we have seen going on is a people with massive interest. For instance, when you look at the likes of P2B with his own agenda and aspirations and desire of leadership style, which he has always preached. You watch the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar with his political way of it must be me, and if it is not me, I join another party. His antecedents have shown that. You have the Kwankwasia, who have witnessed that if the arrangement does not better me, I pitch to my state. That gave room to MPP, wrestling power in Kano. Then you have the P2B, who said, I love Nigeria, Nigeria love me. The other day, he said, my own coalition was coalition with the people, not with the leaders. So now one now wonders, how will these people of different character, different identity, different aspirations come together honestly to restore power in a form of coalition? Because they must get to that table where they will say who would stand for the coalition. That is a further mass, board mass for this coalition that is, prompting both the El-Rufais and everybody. The El-Rufai is known in his character of unforgiving political lifestyle, which everybody knows that he will always fight back, which he has demonstrated. Because we watch him dance with the current president, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, in a very lovely dance of affair and love in APC. All of a sudden, we have seen him in a battle fight of these people and these people. I will deal with you, I will not deal with you. We are now seeing him now preaching a different lifestyle of coalition. These characters must play on their table. So when we look at the character of these people standing or sitting on a table of coalition, it tells us that who they are will come to play. It is not for the common people. As a pro-democratic advocate, I can tell you that you can only see it because knowing who these people are, you will know that they are not sincerely doing coalition, doing endorsement, coming together for the interests of the poor and the needy of Nigerians. They are interested in restoring their political image, coming to power and take over to control the nations. And they will equally fail with the problem at the table, I said earlier, because who goes first and who goes later? That is why we are hearing today, some people are saying that the original order, like Prof said, which we have known, 8 years by the north, 8 years by the south. That is a formation we know, which has worked over history. Now, these people are coming with a theory that serves their own personal selfish interests to say, oh, the South will remain only in 4 years. We will outplay and remove the current president who came from the South. And the North will go just only 4 years, a promise by verbal, which is driven by that selfish interest. Should this be given away, even their members will not trust this idea. because it must have disappointed the psyche of the Nigerian people, who barely know that it is fair and just, democratic-wise, for the North to have their 8 years and the South to have their 8 years. They will suffer that. The same thing is applicable to the ruling party. When you see the routine of people coming to the party, I can see some governors have moved to APC. I have seen some House of Assemblies have moved to APC. Every politician have an interest, because the politics ordinarily, elementarily, is said to be a game of interest. The interests of those governors who are living are not necessarily AFCC, like Prof said. It is, they want to connect to the power, like Okowa said, that they want to connect to the national grid, Abuja, where the things that happen in Abuja will better and favor them. Looking at what is going on in the PDP, which is the same selfish agenda that made PDP to jettison the zoning formula they had before, in order to service one man interest, which is the same article. They say, oh, we have relaxed zoning. And that brought about the foundation of a problem they have not finished solving till today. So now, when you go to APC, seeing all these people coming, House of Reps members, House senators coming in, they have interest. Where we wait and watch them, this perceived automatic ticket, we have seen the party have come together and said that Mr. President should continue unopposed in 2027. Should that happen, we are waiting to see the party APC and Mr. President extend the same hand to those who have come in with the hope of there could be an automatic ticket. And if they don't give it, I will stand to challenge the fact that you will see those people who hurriedly run there, hurriedly running back, or remain there to sink the ship. So all of them have their different challenges. And like I said, coalition...
So it's a politics of interest.
Yes, that's what they are doing.
Simple.
And the coalition and endorsement generally...
Opportunistic arrangements.
Yes, has its original intention, which is to have a force that is positively driven to better the common man, not politically driven to service the interests of a few. Now, in the same vein, the coalition should be equally watched very well. It should be watched. The side of the ruling party, if not watched, the beauty of the democracy we share and yearn for will be eroded. Because when you have this massive defection, massive joining, massive endorsement to the ruling party, what it will mean is that we will begin to think into having a one political system. And when you have that, the beauty of democracy and coalition thrive in competition, which is an election. We will now have a formidable opposition who will now voice the voice of the people.
Even now that we don't have, or up till now, when we didn't have this massive movement to the one party, there was a formidable opposition, as it were, between 2023 and now. The opposition has not been as formidable as expected.
That is why I say that the selfish interests of some political party affected the opposition force.
Okay.
Like I said about the PDP, the same thing in Labour. If you watch what happened in Labour, in their political chase, you have an ideology that brought about you having some good members in the House of Reps, having senators, had governors, even some governor elected under the Labour. But immediately their court case finished. It's like the party formation immediately left the consolidating that force to be a formidable opposition. Immediately they had leadership problem, Julius Aburi and the other man.
Maybe essentially because they really didn't have an ideological movement within the party. Most of those who joined the party at that time joined in order just to win their elections and get to power. So there's no binding ideological force in that party, or indeed in any other party in Nigeria today.
In summary, coalition and endorsement should be sincere and ideologically driven with the intention of serving the people, the Nigerian people. And when such a coalition comes, you will see the people force will raise it. It becomes a massive follow-up.
The parties are not owned at the moment by members of the party. They are owned by a few elites who are the money bags who run the political parties.
Funders.
Yeah, they are the funders of the party. In the Second Republic, in the First and Second Republics, what we knew were that members of the political parties were owners of those parties. they made contributions to the running of the parties, and so they had a say in what happened in those parties. But not anymore today. So the founders of the party are the ones who control the parties. They are the ones who set the agenda for the parties. They are the ones who negotiate on behalf of the parties and impose their will on them. So when you have this kind of coalition that is going on, is that a viable pathway to the strengthening of democratic institutions, or it is just a temporary fix to capture power?
There's no doubt about that. But before I go to that discussion, I wanted to call the attention of my colleague here to the issue of the Delta State. Because from 2015 up to 2023, when Buhari was in government, Delta State was PDP. They did not go federal so that they can take out of federal chop.
In fact, since 1999.
Yeah, I'm only saying, you know, 99, they were still under PDP. They can say the PDP and PDP.
Yes.
But when 2015, it was APC, and the state was under PDP, they did not think there's need for them to go to federal and take their own share of the federal might. So to at least, but 2023 to now, less than 2 years, they are saying, we'll have to go. So it must have some underneath reasons beyond what they are telling us.
Plug into the national grid.
Into the grid. Now, we have said it, that the parties we have is not ideologically based. And ideologically based is that from the what to the local government level, as you have said, First and Second Republic, people contributed. They have register of membership. If it is 5 kobo, 1 naira, you put, so that you have a sense of belonging. But that has been eroded. And that was the time that the party executive is regarded by those in executive power. But from 1999, they said the leader of a party is the governor. The leader of the party at the federal is the president. So they have taken over, executive has taken over the party affairs, which shouldn't be. There's no demarcation between party affairs and governance affairs. And the same thing with, as we have said, money bags. Those who have money, because you cannot blame them. Those electorates will ask you for mobilization. We want to go and vote somewhere. I want to mobilize us. I want to take pure water there. So somebody will come out. And the person that dictate the pipe, so how do you put it, also dictate the tune. Yes, the tune of the pipe.
Playing the pipe, yes.
Dictate. They are the one funding. There's no doubt about that. We don't have electorates again who are committed ideologically that this is my party. I remember because of time, when Buhari was to come in 2013-14, he said he has no money for ticket. He opened a first bank account. Some of us, because of our commitment, we are contributing money into that account. But by 21 or so, 2019, he did not ask for anybody's money again. It's also those rice seller.
He had consolidated.
He has consolidated. He did not ask for them. So that is the problem. They are the one that are dictating. They are the money bags, they are the funders. And then if you are in power as governor, the governors are funding the party at the state. The federal too, the president is funding, and so on and so forth. And see now, most of the boards are being headed by chairman of party at the state level, so that they can get something to fund there. So there's no demarcation again between the executive arm and the party hierarchy. Between
state resources and party resources.
And party resources.
I am persuaded to add that knowing very, very well that the only bridge between mission and vision is strategy. And for all both sides, both the ruling party and the opposition party are always making permutations of strategy, how they can continue to be in lead. When you now see all these things you're analyzing, you find out that it could be the party strategy, how they could control power. And the rule of fight or war is there's no rule where you punch your opponent. You can punch him in the mouth as long as you win the fight. You can punch him at the head as long as you win the fight. But the truth be said that we are using this opportunity at this medium to call on these people, leaders who are gathering to wrest power from one another. Let their original agenda, the honest agenda, be for the Nigerian people. Let the the ruling party also know that the essence of people joining from the opposition to the ruling party will be to serve the Nigerian people better and to add value to building Nigeria a better state.
All right, thank you. Professor
force.
Adeni, yeah, very quickly, in 60 seconds, as we round up, for you who is a mass communication expert, how can the media avoid amplifying political propaganda disguised as the political interest of a whole nation?
Well, it's very straightforward. Just by sticking to our tenets, objectivity, evidence-based reporting, devoid of sensation, devoid of salacious reports. Reports need to be backed by verifiable evidence. And do not pander to the dictates or to the pressure tactics of vested interest, often represented in partisan politicians, as the case could be.
Thank you so much, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Is a professor of communication at Base University here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Thank you so much for your time. And here
My
in the
pleasure.
studio, Professor Kamal Bello is a professor of politics and administration and dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences at the Open University of Nigeria. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time. Yes, and, of course, Mr. Vitus Okonkwo, a pro-democracy advocate, also joining us here on the program. Thank you so much for your time. Right, that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Of course, do well to follow us on all our social media handles. Of course, you can watch this program anytime that you choose to. Bye for now, and do have a wonderful time.